Hello fellow aviators, and welcome back to Aliong'o Aerosphere, Africa's aviation insight hub. And let's talk aviation, right? Now, Africa has roughly twice the population of Europe. But here's the incredible part. European airports handle roughly 10 times more passenger traffic. Think about that. Now, so what happens when Africa starts flying? And when could African aviation actually catch Europe? Now, let's look at some few things here. Africa has around 1.5 billion people today as of 2026. And Europe has roughly 750 million. Yet in 2024, African airports handle only around 244 million passenger movements, compared with approximately 2.5 billion in Europe. And remember, these aren't unique people. They are passenger movements through airports. The difference is enormous, no question about it. Per person, Europeans currently generate dramatically more air travel than Africans. But the gap could only represent one of Africans or aviation's biggest opportunity. Now, why is the difference so large, right? Well, of course, we'll say income is obviously a major factor. But African aviation also suffers from expensive tickets, limited routes, high taxes, inadequate infrastructure, and fragmented aviation regulations. Now, sometimes it's easier to fly from an African city to Europe than to another African country. So Europe has spent decades building dense airline networks, low-cost carriers, and hundreds of well-connected airports. But Africa hasn't reached that stage yet. But Africa has something Europe doesn't, right? Extraordinary demographic growth. Now, Africa already has around 1.5 billion people, and that population will continue expanding over the coming decades. Now, if incomes rise and even a fraction of that population enters the traveling middle class, well, aviation demand could explode. Now, we've seen versions of this story before in China, India, and Southeastern Asia. Flying goes from being a luxury to a normal transportation. So when does Africa catch Europe? You see, current long-term forecasts generally expect African aviation to grow faster than Europe's. But because Africa starts from such a small base, simply continuing today's growth rates could push the crossover far into the 2100s. Now, change one assumption. Imagine African aviation sustaining around 6% annual growth for several decades as incomes rise. Low-cost airlines expand and African air markets become more connected. Suddenly, the gap closes much faster. So, under an aggressive growth scenario, Africa could potentially approach European passenger volumes late this century. Well, it's not guaranteed, but absolutely possible. And think about what that could or would require. Well, thousands of aircrafts, more airports, pilots, maintenance engineers, flight schools, regional airlines, parts suppliers, and entirely new aviation infrastructure, right? The opportunity isn't just selling more airline tickets. It's building the ecosystem required to move potentially billions of passengers. Now, Africa currently represents only a small fraction of global aviation, but it represents roughly 1/5 of humanity. That gap won't necessarily last forever. So the real question isn't whether Africa will fly more. It is, who will build the aircrafts? Who will build the airlines, the airports, and infrastructure when it does? Well, Africa's aviation boom hasn't even started, right? That's the better way of looking at it. So, you know what? There's so much to unpack here and discuss. But for today, we'll leave it at that. Let's know your thoughts. Drop your any question in the comment section, and it's always a joy having you over. Kwaheri kwa leo, and we'll see you in our next one. Bye bye.